Okay, I'm going to get started, and this is part two of BISS 1123 Business Problem Analysis. And as I mentioned yesterday, which was the 27th of September, and of course today is the 28th, it was my intention to go ahead and do a part two. Now, last night I covered XLS 8, and I wasn't happy with that. And I had promised all of you I was going to go over XLS 9. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first of all. So let's do this. Let's first of all, XLS 8 starts over here in chapter 12. And we had done some work. Oh, no, it's not in 12. I'm sorry. Go back to find it here just a second. Let's go back here for a moment. Now, I should just take my own advice and use the resources. Now, I just want to take a few minutes to talk about this. On Thursday, the 4th of November, you have 2 quizzes due, okay? So it may seem like it would be a good time to skip class, but it's really not, because at that point, I'm probably going to cover at least Excel case number 10. I'm going to cover 8 and 9 here tonight, okay? So you'll want to see that, and part 1 of that will be case 10, and then I would probably make a part 2 that will be just nothing but case 11. All right, now let's go in here and let's go down and find our resources, and the resources for the Microsoft Excel courses. So here's what I'm doing. As you can see, there aren't any cases due on the 4th. However, I'm going to go ahead and work through these so you can upload them. You'll have a key to upload, and I'm going to talk about them tonight. So we're going to go over here for the resources for the Microsoft Excel cases. And we'll download that, and we'll open it up first of all. And we're going to see, and I'm just going to go ahead and download this thing. I probably already have it there on the file. I'll show it in the folder. And I'm going to throw this, well, there it is already. I've got it there already. So here are the resources out on my desktop. And for cases XLS case 8, we're going to be looking at nested functions, and that's where we bury a function within a function. And then I've got I'm going to go back over that hedging pro forma or template and talk some more about that in some detail. And then we're going to look at using a regression analysis, linear trend analysis. And I've got an example for you there. And then we'll go over the cost estimate, that file that's over in chapter 53. So the first place I am going to go to is chapter 12. Before I do this, I'm going to go to the files and get action plastics practice done. So back over here, and I'll go to the files, and I'm going to action plastics. There it is, and I'm going to download it. And I'll just go over it real quickly because I covered this in some depth last night, and I feel like that we did a pretty good job of covering it. This is the insurance billing reconciliation system issue and a system case. Now, what we have here is an assumptions area, and let's look at it first of all. And again, as I mentioned last night, I'm going over this pretty quickly. We use the assumptions area, and then we have the computation and output area, and we use different colors to signify the different areas, and then we also start basically from left to right. First thing up here would be your eye would be up here, then here, and then move down. Let's look at this for just a minute and refresh your memory real quickly. If an employee has 0 dependents, then the employee doesn't have to pay any money. The company pays the full $240. If an employee has 1 dependent, it's $72, so they have to pay $312 is the total premium. So the company pays $240, and the employee with 1 dependent pays $72. If an employee has 2 or more dependents, okay, then they pay $200. The company pays $240, and that's how you end up with the $440. Okay, we're going to use some if statements, and here we have the list of these employees and have their last name, their first name. I think we even have an employee ID. I thought we did. And then the number of dependents. Now notice we went ahead and these data have been pre-sorted, and you can see that starting with the highest number of dependents down to the lowest number. Now how I know that? Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight this whole area. Okay. And I'm going to come up here to sort and filter, and I'll see sort A to Z, which means lowest to highest. Now, if I sort Z to A, that means highest to the lowest. So I wanted to do the highest to the lowest. Okay, I could have gone the opposite way. Let's do this here. So you get the number of dependents, okay. Then we have the employee contribution. And notice, here's where we get the nested if statement, all right? Now, I'm just going to take this like I did last night. I'm going to take this one statement and put it into English. In fact, I did it last night. And let's look at this for just a moment. If C8 equals 0, okay, and I'll escape out of that for just a minute. If C8 equals 0, okay, if C8 equals 0, then the employee contribution is 0, okay? Now, we're still working on this file. I can probably do it in here. Hopefully you can see the toolbar just as well. If C8 equals 0, and C8 is the number of dependents for this first employee, then the employee's contribution is 0. If that condition isn't met, then you notice we go to the second step. This is why we call it a nested function. We're using several if statements here. And if C8, which is the number of dependents, equals 1, then the employee's contribution is, then we choose the employee contribution for 1 dependent, and that's going to be $72. Now, if that condition isn't met, then we do a third and final check, and we say if C8, that's the number of dependents, is greater than or equal to 2, they have 2 or more dependents, then it's the employee contribution for 2 or more. Okay? So we went over this already. Let's take a look at this person has more than 2 dependents. So they're paying, okay, the $200. And the company's contribution, notice I have it as F8. Okay. The company contribution is F8 minus D8. And F8 is 440. And D8, of course, is 200. So the company contribution is 240. And the total premium, we could have made that much simpler, okay, if we just simply said, we'll take we're going to take the total premium and just simply took the employee contribution plus the company contribution. But I decided to use another nested statement. So here it is. I'm in cell F8. If C8 equals 0, then the premium would be 0. Dependence, okay? If the C8 is equal 1, then the premium is the 1 dependent premium, okay? If C8, that is the number of dependents, is greater than or equal to 2, then we do the premium for 2 or more dependents. All right. Now we've got that whole except there. And really what we could do also would be just as simply to add the employee contribution and the total premium. Okay. So I'm going to do that here. We're going to get rid of this. And I'm just going to say simply, pardon me. I'm going to get rid of this. And then we'll just carry it down. Let me back this out for just a minute. All right, not going to let me a second. I'm not going to play nice. Okay, this is going to simply equal employee contribution, okay, plus E8 and it's going to show, it's telling me I've got an error problem. Yeah. So we'll back off there. And we're just going to get rid of that formula right there. Okay. And that's always going to equal 240. Now I put the standard in there, but I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to put the company contribution. I know the company contribution is always 240. So I'm just going to carry it on down. That's a fixed amount of money, and I know that. Okay. Now I can do my total premium. And I just come over here and to do the auto sum. And then I just bring it on down. I'm done. In this total premium column over here, I did far too much work. But you can see how we use the statement. And again, let's look at this and then I'll close this off. And I will in this file, I'll upload it as an example. Again, we're gonna have the number of dependents that person has, and we have our assumption areas over here, okay? And we're using the name manager as well. So here's what we're saying. If C8, okay, which is the number of dependents, equals 0, then the employee contribution is 0, okay? And we have that up in the name manager, and we designate a cell for that. If that condition isn't true, then we have a comma that says continue. And and we start the second part. And this is again why we call it a nested statement. If C8 equals 1, that is the number of dependents equal 1, okay, then we use the employee contribution for 1, okay. If that isn't true, then we execute a third if statement. If C8 is equal to or greater than 2, then the employee contribution is 2 or more. We have those outlined over there. So if it's just the employee, as you can see, 0. If they have a dependent, $72. And if they have 2 or more dependents, it's $200. And we know the company's always paying $240. That's its contribution. And then we just simply just carry that on down. Let's drag and drop it. And we know the company contribution. Then we have this sum. And we just drag and drop it all the way on down there. And that's pretty much it. So this file, okay, and I'm going to save it on my desktop. I'll put it up here. I'm going to call it example XLSX. This is an example. So I'm going to save it on my desktop. All right. Now I'm going to close this off. And I'm going to close this resource file off and close this. I'm going to go back to the module. You get a little bit of a behind the scenes look. And I'm going to come over here to this week. This will be the 11th. And I'm going to here. And I'm going to find a file. And it's that Action Plastics file. And now I can use it, or I could upload the file I just did. It doesn't matter. This one's got the fancy if statement. And the last one, okay, or I could upload it from my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to cancel this. And I'm going to come back to the Files section. All right. And I'm going to upload that Action Plastics file I have on my desktop that I just created. So we'll do that. There we go, example for 8. And I'm going to upload it. All right, it's there. Now I'm ready to go back down to the module. A little behind the scenes thing. See me load this stuff up, all business. As you can see, this thing's really just nothing more than a database. And here we are. So I'm going to add a file. Of course, will be that Action Plastics file. And there it is. And then we'll just simply drag and drop it. Okay. And there's the example done. Now we're going to look at XLS8, the case, all right? And that one, again, we'll open up the resources. And that one is nested functions. And that's over in chapter 12. It's that if statement file with the hedging tab, okay? Now, I think I have it individually on my desk. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look for Excel Companion 1 because it's going to be chapter 12. I'm going to open up chapter 12, practice files. And here I'm going to see that and I think I want the if statement. I'm going to open up this for a minute. I think that's the one I want. And now we'll open this up. And I think that I wanted to use the if statement. So I'm pretty sure this is the one I want. Okay. Now, this is the copy of the if statement. I'm going to open it up. I'm getting some strangeness here with this thing. There we are. Now, just to make sure I've got everything in good shape here, I'm going to save this as on my desktop. This is copy of if statement, XLSX8 key. All right. I'm going to save it as such on my desktop. All right. And here it is. Now let's take a look at this file. Now, while we do, I'm going to take us over to chapter 12 in Vital Source. And we're going to get this thing set up. Now, and we're going to work on this hedging question. I want to make sure that it's 12 I'm after. Yeah, chapter 12. Oh, and I wanted the if statement. Okay. Got a copy of the if statement. Now with the hedging tab. All right. So I'm going to go back over here to chapter 12. And they had done the EOQ. And they'd give us some more problems. So we'll go. Oh, that's why I'm in the wrong chapter. All righty. I'm going to go to chapter 12. Pardon me? It's late at night. I'm tired. I want to get this done. Over to chapter 12. And we're going to come up and they give us some information about if statements. And here we are, this passage right here. And actually, folks, it's figure 12.2. I apologize. It's actually 12.2. All right. Now, let's talk about what we've got here. And they give us a scenario. And here is an example of using what we call a European put option. Okay. Now, he gives us some narrative here. And he says, I purchased 100 shares of stock for $55 each. Okay. I want to hedge against the risk that the stock price will go down. I can do that by basically buying what we call portfolio insurance. And the authors mentioned that here in the textbook. Okay. And he purchases 66-month, what he calls European stock options, put options, pardon me. And it has an exercise price of $45 and each option costs $5. And he wants to know, can I develop a spreadsheet to show this? And here it is, okay? And I'm going to diminish this down. And I'm going to open up the copy of the if statement. And we're going to look at it. Here we are. Now, he bought 60 puts, okay? And this is all up here. I'll move this over for just a second. This is all over here in the formulas section with the name manager. And if you want to see all of those for hedging, just start with there where it says hedging. And you'll find them. So we've got this assumptions area is really what this amounts to. So I could improve on this a little bit, but just simply giving it some a little bit of fill. Maybe a nice border. Okay. I'm going to come over here now and I'm going to set this new. And remember, this is the assumptions area. This array of cells A2 to B7. And then I've got kind of a little ribbon there. And I'm going to use a nice light green. Okay. And I'll come down here and make this also light green. And then I'm going to take the whole thing. And I'm doing just some, just to make it look nice. All right, now let's go back to where we were. And he's bought 60 puts, okay, which means I can sell it to you. I can put it up for sale to you. So I bought 60 of them, okay, and they cost me $5 a piece. Now, remember, up in the assumptions area, I bought 100 shares of stock that right now it costs $55. Okay. Now, if the price of the stock goes down, I want to have some insurance. So somehow we determine that the exercise price is $45. Okay, so when the stock is at $45 or less, the option kicks in. Now, if I buy the stock and it goes, for example, and he gives this example in the textbook, to $37, then with the option that I purchased, the portfolio insurance, I have the right to take the stock that that's now selling at 37, and I can sell it back. I can resell it back to the folks with whom I have the option. Okay, and they have to buy it at 45. Then I can go back into the market and buy them at 37, and so I've made $8 a share. Now, if the price is above $45, okay, the option, it has no value. It's only when it equals 45 or below. And you say, how do you determine the stock, the strike price? How do you determine the price of the put? Okay, and that's for another class, frankly. Okay. I don't advise engaging in anything like this unless you have a professional stock person working with you. Okay. Now I've got a master's degree in finance, and my thing is really more corporate finance. I'm not about investment strategy or this stuff, but this is a nice little template. Now let's see where we are. Now, right now, we have a price of our stocks, $55, and we've got. It says, how do we get the starting value of $5,800? Let's look at that. Okay, there's the formula, and it's the number of shares times the price now, which is $55, plus the put cost, which is $5, times the number of puts, which is 60. So we have $5,500 worth of stock plus $300 of portfolio insurance. And so our starting value is, or investment is, $5,800. Now we're going to come down here and we're going to look at different stock prices and see what this looks like in terms of what we call our return hedged versus unhedged. Now, before I go into all of the all of the formulas and all that, let's just take a look at this, and we see that we start the final stock price at 20. Now there's our strike price. And here where we are right now. But we're saying that we think this stock could go as high as $60 a share. Okay? 65 a share. He said, so in 6 months, if it's 65 a share, I'll just sell the stock I have. All right? And I've made $1,000 less the $300 I spent on the puts. Okay, you follow how I got that? I took $6,500. Let's say if the price ends up at $65, it's 65 times 100, $6,500. Now, my starting value was $5,800. All right, so I made $700 because the put, those options, that $300 of options just didn't have any value. Okay, and you can see here's the strike price, here's the current price, and if we think it's going to go down, the put option is of no value if the price of the stock at the point where the options I can exercise it is above the strike price. If it's below the strike price, that's good news for me because I can take that stock, sell it at the higher price, and then resell it and then buy more, and I'll make a profit. So we're going to see how we do this. And notice how the put value diminishes, okay, as we get closer and closer to the strike price. And when we hit the strike price, it has no value. So the lower the stock price goes at the end of this 6-month period, the better off we are because we bought insurance. Because, well, you can see the final put value. Let's talk about that for a moment because this is the first of those. Nested statements or conditional statements. Here's say if, okay, A9, which is the final stock price, is less than the existing price, okay, then the existing price equals A9. Otherwise, it's a 0. And we take that times the number of puts. And so we get the final put value. Let's think about this for a minute. Okay. Now we had the exercise price here in A9, $20 is less than 45 bucks. That's the exercise price is 45. Since that condition is satisfied, then we take the exercise price, okay, and we subtract A9. So we took 45 and we subtract 20, and we get $25, okay? And we take that times 60, and that's 1,500 bucks. And it just works accordingly. So that's the value of the put. Now, think of it like this. Let's say you buy a house, and you're paying $2,000 a year insurance, and your house burns down. How much is that insurance really worth? A lot more than $2,000. So that's why folks buy portfolio insurance, and we say we're hedging our bets. We're hedging against a loss. Now let's look at the final share value, okay? And that's obvious. That's going to be the number of shares, which is 100 times the final stock price, which is $20. So the final share value, okay, is 2,000 bucks. Now the put value, all right, is $1,500. The share price, okay, is $2,000. So at this point, our portfolio is worth 3,500 bucks. So we're going to see how we did on our hedging. Now, we're going to come out with a negative % return, and we would expect to. So let's see what we've got here. To get the percentage return hedged, we're going to take C9, okay, which is 2,000, plus B9, which is 1,500, and that gives us 3,500 minus our starting value, which is 5,800. So in our numerator here in this equation, we end up with 3,500 minus 5,800 equals minus 2,300, and we divide that by 5,800, and we get the 39.7. Okay, and that's the % return hedged. Now, what this means is, you say, well, it looks like you lost money. Yes, I did. But look what happens if I don't hedge. And we're going to do that. If I don't have the hedge of the option, then I'm going to, here's what it's going to end up. I'm going to have C9, which is the final value of the share. Okay. That's going to be 2,000 minus the number of shares times the price now. So I'm going to have 2,000 minus 3,500. All right. And I'm going to have 2,000 minus, pardon me, 5,800. And so that's 3,800 bucks. Okay. Now, I'm going to divide that times the number of share prices times the price now, which is 5,800. And that's how I get the return unhinged. Unhinged. I mean, unhedged. Holy moly. And let me run you through that one again. Okay, on the unhedged. All right, it's going to be the final share value minus the number of shares times the price now. Okay, in other words, our current value, which is 2,000 bucks, minus where we started, and where we started was at $5,800. All right, so we're going to divide that by the share prices times the price now. So we're going to get 2,000, all right, minus the price now, which is 100 times 55, which is $5,500. And we're going to divide that by 5,500. So we're going to end up taking minus 3,500 divided by 5,500. And we end up with minus 63.6%. Now you say, wait a minute. What about the puts? Well, remember, okay, if we don't hedge, in other words, if we didn't buy the insurance, this is what we lose, 63%. So really, if we wanted to, we could look at the insurance coverage. I'm just going to call this insurance. I'm going to call this insurance value. Okay. I'll do that over here. I'm going to click here, and then I'll go to home, and then I'm going to click copy. Okay, and then I'm going to do format painter. There we go. And this is going to equal we're going to look at this, the percent return unhedged. Okay. Minus the percent return hedged. Okay. Let's see. Let's do the plus sign here. And this is going to equal oh no, I want the difference from them. So let's just go ahead and take the difference. So the insurance value, I'm just inventing this here just for kicks. Is the percent return unhinged, unhedged minus the percent return, the percentage return unhedged minus the percent return hedged. So if you look there, there's about 24% difference. In other words, what this is saying is I have a gain really of 24%. So I'm going to reverse this equation because I don't like how this looks. I'm just playing around with this. And I'm going to put equal the percentage returned hedged, okay, minus the unhedged. There we go. Now that makes sense. Now, and then we just drag and drop it. And so we can compute the value of the insurance. Now notice, as we get closer to the strike price, all right, that the option has no value. And in fact, the values start to become negative for us. Now, that's not really true. Although, you know, we did spend $300. But look at our final share value. Okay. So that's just a little added thing I thought I'd do. And I go ahead and I'm going to put a nice, and again, this is about using conditional statements. There. And we'll put all borders. There we go. And I'm going to save this file. Okay. And I'm going to upload it over here in the files section. Okay. I'm going to do an upload. And I'm going to go to my desktop. There it is. I'll upload that. And then I'll come back to the module. And we already have our example out here for XLS 8. And I'm going to go ahead and add the file. Okay. And let's find this. I'm sworn I uploaded that thing just a minute ago. There it is. Copy of it. There it is. All right. And then we'll just drag and drop this up here. So now you have an example, all right? And then you have the copy of the if statement, and that's for case number 8. Now let me encourage you to go back there in the text and read some more about puts and see how it all works itself through. But you're basically buying insurance, and that's what that case is all about. Okay, now, case number 9 involves linear trends, and that one's going to be a little bit different critter. And so I'm going to find the resources file, and I'm going to open that back up. And XLS 9 deals with quality assurance and regression analysis, and I have a file over there that's an example called Karma Digital, and I'm going to show it to you. So we'll go back over here to Canvas. All right. And I'm going to go into the files. And I'm going to find this Karma Digital. And this is an interesting little case. If I can find it. I better look in this resource thing for just a minute. See where it says it's at. XLS9, XLS is okay. And this is the one, okay? So you'll want to download this. Yeah. And so we'll download it. And I'm going to put it over here in my folder and diminish everything down. And I'm going to put it over here on the desktop. All right. I'm going to open this up. And this is about the company, Karma Digital. And we'll go through this business of editing it. Let me close the other file off. This is the one I work with. I'll enable the editing. Okay. Then I'm going to take the file and I'm going to save it as this PC on my desktop. And this will be XLS9. And I'll put it on the desktop. It'll be XLS9 example. Okay. And because I'm going to add it over here for you once we've looked at it. Now, this case, we use the statistics pack in Excel. And so you'll have to, when we're in the lab, some of the machines or even on your own machine, you may not have the stat pack for Excel enabled. Here's how you do it. You click on File. You go down here to Options, okay? And then you click Add-ins, okay? And notice, all right, if you have the analysis tool pack, okay, then you're good to go. And if you have the solver, you're good to go, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and on my add-ins, I'm going to put the analysis tool pack because it's inactive. And I'm going to click OK. All right. Now I should be able to click on Data and see the analysis tool pack over here. And so I'm going to scroll on over and it should be here. I'll make this full size. And let's see the what if analysis. Okay. Yeah, let's see what I should have the data to it. The way and on here, the visual acuity I have on this machine's not the greatest. So I'm going to go back down to Options and look at add-ins and make sure that I had added it in. Well, it didn't let me do that. Try it again. There we go. Oh, I had to do that. I'm sorry, I skipped a step. I had to click go, and here's the analysis tool pack. Here's the solver tool pack, and I'm okay. I'm so sorry. Okay. And there they are now. My apologies. I skipped a step. All right. Now, we'll talk about this some, we'll talk about this some more next Thursday. All right. But here in this example, this is a company and they make some type of product. I forget what it was, but they made hard drives, discs, or something like this. And so you'll see here they have records for the year 1999 to 2000. Okay. And they have the production volume, how much they made each year. And they came up with, they had this actual percent defective, and I guess it would be nice to be able to spell actual, okay? And then they had a regression line that is a predicted defective percent. Now, when we talk about linear trend analysis, we're assuming, okay, that two sets of data relate to each other. For example, interest rates and housing sales are related. When interest rates are high, housing sales are low because it costs a lot more to buy a home. When interest rates are low, it's cheaper to buy a home. And out in the world, we can find all kinds of analyses. And here, what we're trying to do is figure out what does the trend look like in terms of our defective parts, okay? And I have over in the supplemental website, you can go look over there, I have all kinds of materials for it in terms of XY analysis, okay, or correlation. We use linear trend to say that we believe that the numbers, if we put them in a chart, line up. And I'll show you that. And we use linear trend to create what we call a line of best fit, kind of a baseline. And then we look to see where are points away from that baseline. Okay? Now, there's a way that we do that. And we use the linear trend package in Excel. All right? And it really consists of us selecting the figure that is the x-axis and the figure that's on the y-axis. And the y-axis is going to typically be what we call the variable of interest. Okay? Now, here's some of the output that we get. This multiple R squared is the one that's probably the most important because R squared says, okay, here's how much of the variation or variance is accounted for by the comparison of these two numbers using the linear trend. And the higher the R squared, the better. The more variance or variation or uncertainty that we can account for, the better. And this shows you the regression statistic output and then the production line fit plot. And notice that we have percent defective, the actuals, and then we have the predicted. Okay? You'll see up here we have this Y and the R squared. Okay? And this is based on, you say, is this kind of like based on the equation for a line? Yes, it is. So let's see over here what we've got. All right. Now I'm going to click here, and I've got equals production volume times B10 times the intercept, okay? So the production volume, okay, and that's how much we're making times B10, and in this case again, it's that production volume plus the intercept. So we've got this B10. Let's identify this for just a minute so we know where the, let's go up here to the formulas. Here's the name manager. And the production volume, yeah, this is down here in the output. Go down here and find this. Here we are. And this is each observation. Here's the predicted percent defective. Well, here it is. I'm going to highlight it for us. Okay. Here's the intercept. That's on the y-axis. Here's the production volume, and these are coefficients. And so the production volume is this figure here. Okay, and we should be able to see it go hot. And so we'll go up here, and to get the predicted, we're going to be looking at the production volume, and you'll see times B10, which is so we're going to take this production volume, okay, refers to this coefficient when we've run the regression analysis. That's some of the output we get. And we're going to take that times the production, and we add the intercept, okay, and that gives us our predicted defective percent. We're trying to predict what percentage of these goods will be defective. Now notice what's happening. The more stuff they make, the higher the percent defective. So what they're really doing is they're making junk. Okay? Well, let's try this and just, I'm kind of whipped. It's late at night, but I'm going to go ahead and mess with this thing. Let's click data. Okay, and I'm going to come over to the data analysis tools, and I'm going to find the regression. I'll click regression. I'm going to click OK, and it has a dialog box. All right, and it's going to say what's the input Y range. Now the Y range is the variable of interest, and that's, of course, the Y-axis is the one that goes horizontal. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to get the y-axis is going to be the actual percent defective, okay? And then the X range will be the volume. And see, I didn't put labels, so I'm going to cancel this. Okay, I'm going to put regression, and the input Y range, of course, will be the actual percent defective, but I'm going to get this whole thing here. And then the X range will be the production volume down to 2010. All right, and I'm going to click, I have labels, and let's see, I have a 95% confidence level. I want the line fit plots, and I want the residuals, and I'm going to put it in a new worksheet, and I'll click OK. This all happens, and there we are. Now we're going to have to probably with this table, for it to look right, we're going to have to size it up a little bit. Okay? Now, here you can see the predicted. Let me back over for just a minute. We'll look at the output we've got. And there's my output. And there are my intercepts, the coefficients for production, volume, and the intercept, the y-intercept. Remember, linear regression uses the equation for a line. And there it is. It's in scientific notation here. And we're going to do a couple of things. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to size this chart up nicely. So I'm going to bring this puppy over here. And I'm going to click here. And I'm going to add the trend line. And it's a linear trend. And I will display the R value. I will display the occasion. Now I set the 0. And I'm good. A little bit of charting stuff that we did. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this on out so you really can start to see the dynamics. See all this stuff scrunched up here is just a matter of getting that pulled out. I'll size this in, but there we are. Okay. So what this tells us is that if we continue the course we're on, if we continue with the same production practice, we're just going to make more and more junk. Okay? So I'm going to close this off. Now I'll save the changes. And I come back up here to, I'll close this off. And we have an LXS9 example. One of the modules here. All right. Okay. And so we're ready here to upload this example. Let's see, I called it that. XLS9 example. Yeah. Well, since I already have it over there, I just, I'm going to open this up for a minute because I don't like how it looks. There we are. There's the, yeah. Now we're ready. Now we will upload it into the files here at Canvas. And you'll have your example. First thing I'm doing behind the scenes stuff, I'm going to go to the files. And I'm doing this also so you get some comfort level working with the files. You probably do already, but you never know. So I'm going to go back up here to my desktop and I'm going to look for XLS9 example. There it is. And we're ready to go. We use linear regression and correlation coefficients because we believe that there are certain things out in the world that occur together. For example, the hotter the day it is at a sporting event, the hotter the temperature, the more beverages they'll sell because people get thirsty. The older you get, the greater the odds that you're going to die. That's how people sell insurance, because they have actuarial tables. Okay. So we've got this example uploaded here. I hope. Let's make sure. XLS69 example. There it is. And we're going to put it over here in the module. Full navigation, a little bit of work. Just to give us some time to talk about it as well. And here it is, upload. Yeah, here we go. And I'm going to do a file. Now I'm going to find XLS9 example. There it is. I'll add that item. And then I'm going to use the drag and drop to put it up here. I have to go up here a little bit higher. Oh, here we go. I'm still in that module. So I'm gonna do 9. Whoops, sorry for folks. I'm just gonna remove this from this week because I don't need it. Well, I'll spend more time dragging the thing up there, so I'm just gonna remove it. Yeah, got ahead of myself there. So I want to do the XLS8 9. There we go. We'll do the example now. And I'm in the correct module for a change. Here we go. There's the example. Now we're going to work on the file, okay, that's over there. And that's that XLS9. And we've got this example. Now we're going to go find the one that's out of the textbook, okay? Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be chapter 58. So let's look at the contents here. And they're going to have us do some multiple regression maybe, or you see some of the stuff. I did lie to you. Did you see the output? There it is. I'm going to go back to the source file. And for XLS9, it's the cost estimate, chapter 53. I better just write this down for myself before I forget it. Chapter 53, figure 53.2, and it's a cost estimates. All righty. Now I'm ready. Now I'm going to go into my Excel companion. This is content 2. And I'm going to open this file up. And this is, all right. And I'm going to come down here to chapter 53. And we go to practice files. And I get cost estimate. Now I'm going to copy this and paste it on the desktop. Okay. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename it. XLSX 9. Yeah, because we were working on 8 a while ago. Yeah, 9 was example. So Earth domain. All right, now I'm going to open this jewel up. Let's take a look inside of it. Okay. Now, here we're going to be using, and let's go to the textbook for just a minute and take a look at what they're telling us. And I'm using 53, chapter 53, not 58. Estimating straight line relationships. That's the ticket. Now, they give you some key examples of what we call an independent variable versus the dependent variable. Okay, the independent variable is typically the one on is the one on the chart that's on the horizontal axis. The vertical axis is the dependent variable, or what we call the variable of interest, or the one that's being measured. So let's go down here to 53, and you saw earlier when I did the trend line. This is kind of a reprise of what I did earlier. You saw it shows the trend line. Now, here, they're going to talk about the relationship between monthly production volume and monthly operating costs. Okay, so let's open up this file. All right, and we're going to come in. And I want to get this sized up a little bit so I can come over here. Now here we have, and let me go back up to the question. The relationship between monthly production and monthly operating costs. Now, you remember we talked about the total cost concept, and we said that total cost equals variable cost plus fixed cost. So we would assume that the more stuff we produce, the higher our monthly cost for operating the plant. We have fixed costs, they're going to stay the same, regardless of how much we produce. But the more we produce, the more money we're going to spend. Okay, so we want to know, determine the relationship between monthly production and monthly operating costs. We want to know how closely the monthly operating cost, the plant cost, mirrors the costs, the production and the operating costs. Okay, let's look at that in the file. Now we've got here the month, the units produced, and the monthly cost, and then we have the sum of the errors of the predicted cost. And notice it's 64.2687 plus C3, okay, plus 37,894.0956. Now, if you click on this, so it'll go hot, you're going to see that the 64, that's the slope of the line, okay, times, remember, M times bx plus a. Oh, here we are. Now we get the slope of the line, and that's times C3, the units produced, plus the intercept. All right. Now, when they did this and they ran this, they probably did not go ahead and do all the output, although my hunch would be that they did. And let's see if we can find it. Okay. And they have this should look familiar. See, here's our x-axis, the independent variable. Here's our dependent variables, the variables of measure. Here's monthly plant cost per production. Now we get an error, and the error is D minus 3. And what we're doing is this error, we're comparing the actual cost versus what we predicted that it would be. Okay. And then we get the sum of the errors down here. This gives us year 15. There's some additional verbiage in the plan. Now, we took the monthly plant cost, for example, and said, okay, how does it relate to we took the fixed and the variable costs. I think we're given those figures up there. You get the R squared value. So they've run this linear trend analysis and then produce this output. Now, what I don't like that they did is I'm not seeing all of they may not have chosen to get all the output, but we do see the trends. And what they're also doing here is something, and let's look at this for just a moment. They're doing some prediction. Now, notice that we get a sum of the errors, and that is how far off are we? And each month, we've taken the predicted cost, okay, and we found the error by taking the actual versus the predicted, okay? And we want to see how well it's performing. And when we have class next Thursday, I'll probably come back and revisit this just a little bit. But again, we're just using that linear trend in Excel. I think they use linear trend there. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Pretty much the same stuff we did. And so then they tell us how sure can I be about my predictions. But that will pretty much do it. All right. I've uploaded the example. Okay. Now this is XLS9 cost estimate. We'll save this as it is. And I'm going to set it on my desktop. And it will be pretty much the key. So we're going to add it to our files. what was that thing called again? XLSX9 cost estimate. All right. I'll have it up there. We should. No, maybe I didn't load it up yet. Let's do that right now. I'm going to rename that for a minute. We'll call that estimate. I'm going to call it the key, so it's real clear what it is. And I'll get this business about. Okay, that's all right. Well, let's go back here for a minute. And I'm going to rename this thing. Okay. There we go. Now we're ready to put it up here in the modules for you to see. And as I said, I can cover this a little bit more. It's late and I'm worn out. So you can see I'm burning the midnight oil. And so I'm going to add that file. And this will be part 2. All I'm going to do now is turn it into a YouTube video. There it is. Okay, and we'll just simply move it up here. And so we've got XLS9. We're going to upload it right there. We have an example, and we have the key. Got the same thing for XLSX8. Action Plastics example. Same story there. So we did 8 and 9 tonight. We'll revisit a little bit and we'll talk about 10 and where we are at the class next week. Okay, folks, I'm going to call it an evening. It's pretty late, as you probably are going to guess when you see the time on this video. But hey, I'm up working late at night on your behalf, as I hope you're working late at night on your behalf. It's your education, it's your money, it's your time, it's your life. I can't make you turn in work. I can't make you attend class. I can offer you the opportunity. I can offer you the opportunity to hear some more stories which have some wisdom in them. And this is the place where we're all at. So I'm going to do my duty. I hope you'll do yours. Thank you, folks. God bless you. I'll see you next week. So I'm still recording. I'll stop the share. I'll stop the recording.